Hello, let us look at some review questions on the exam 31. Alright, for the exam 31, which equation represents the whose slope is 1/2 and y-intercept is 5. You see, if you remember, y equals mx plus b form of an equation of a line, here we realize that m is a slope. And then B is the y-intercept. So basically what I'm looking for is, in place of m, I gotta have 1/2. That means choice 4 is out, choice 2 is out. And y-intercept has to be 5, so then between choice 1 and 3, I realize that the first one should be the answer. Let's look at the second one. Write an equation of a line whose slope is 2. Same deal here. Then number in front of x has to be equal to 2. Then we see that choice 2 or choice 4, but you realize that in case of choice 4 you have -3 in front of y, so you know that this will not be correct, because when you divide by -3 on both sides, then you can see that slope is now 2 over -3, not just 2. So therefore our answer will be choice 2 becomes the answer. Alright, let us move on to the next question. Number 3. What is the slope? Now in this case, what we want to do is we want to convert the equation into y equals mx plus b format. In order for us to do that, first we're going to subtract 3x. So from here, 3x minus 4y minus 16 is equal to 0. So let us subtract 3x from both sides. Then we get -4y minus 16 is equal to -3x. And then we're going to add 16, so -4y becomes -3x plus 16, so that we could have y by itself. Then of course our next move would have been dividing each term by -4, so that we can truly have a y by itself. Then we end up getting these two cancels out. We have y equals, now negative becomes positive 3 over 4x, and then positive negative becomes -4. So we get to see that 3 over 4 becomes our slope. So that would be choice 1. Alright, let us look at number 4 here. What is the slope? Now, which we can figure out the slope using the slope formula. Let me just use m is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Now, then in this case, what we can do is we can assume that this is x sub 1 and y sub 1, then this would have been x sub 2 and y sub 2. We can go either way, it's perfectly fine. So then our slope would have been equal to -4 minus 0, y sub 2 minus y sub 1, and then going by the same order, 0 minus 3. So then what we end up getting is -4 over -3, which becomes 4 over 3. So choice 1 becomes our answer once again. Alright, let us look at the next question here. How do you find the distance? Distance can be found by square root of x of 2 minus x of 1 square that plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. Now, then I can quote -1 as x sub 1, then y sub 1, and 2 becomes x sub 2, and then 6 becomes y sub 2. So first, what we'll end up getting is 2 minus -1 square plus y sub 2, which is 6, minus 2 squared. Now, here 2 minus negative 1 becomes 3 squared. 6 minus 2 becomes 4, so 4 squared, which continues to square root of 9 plus 16. We know that to be equal to square root of 25. But what is square root of 25? That's right, that's equal to 5. So therefore, our answer is choice 1 becomes the answer. Number 6, which is an equation of a line that passes through this point and has a slope of 3. Now, we can do this one in two different ways. First way is, since the slope is equal to 3, we know that the equation would have been y equals 3x plus b. But since 1, 4 can fit into this equation, so what we can say is 4 equals 3 times 1 plus b. Now that means 4 equals 3 plus b, because 3 times 1 is equal to 3. By subtracting 3 from both sides, we get 1 equals b. Then, this tells us that y equals 3x plus 1 becomes our answer, which is choice 4. Now, there's another way of doing this one. It's called using the point-slope form of an equation of a line, but we'll deal with that format later on during our review. Number 7, slope. Once again, let us write up the slope formula here. Then we get slope is equal to, don't forget y sub 2 first, over y sub 1, divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Y sub 2 can be 7. Then if I have 7 minus 3, because this 3 comes from here, y sub 1, over x sub 2 becomes 3, minus x sub 1 becomes 1. So here we get 4 over 2. We know that that simplifies equal to 2, so our answer will be choice 2. Alright, let us move on to the next question. The length of the line segment here, so I'm going to call it d, is equal to square root of x of 2 minus x of 1. So we have 2 minus negative 3 squared plus negative 2 minus negative 1 squared. Then the first one becomes square root of 5 squared plus second one becomes negative 2 essentially plus 1, so it becomes negative 1 squared. Now then becomes 25 plus 1. We get square root of 26. Choice 3 becomes our answer then. Alright, let us move on to number 9. Now the circle AB is a diameter. Coordinates of A are this, and then coordinates of the center of the circle is this one. What is the coordinate of B? Since I don't know what coordinate of B would have been, let me just assume that that's equal to, how about x comma y, because I have no idea what it is. Then notice that center has to be the midpoint. If I have to remind you the midpoint formula, it would have been x of 1 plus x of 2, those two x values divided by 2, and y sub 1 plus y sub 2 over 2. That's the midpoint formula. But here we get to realize that that midpoint formula is corresponding to the center. So here what we can do is this, 3 plus x over 2. That has to correspond to the x value of the midpoint, which is 1. And then, likewise, 4 plus y over 2 has to correspond to the y value of the midpoint, which is happen to be 1 also. Here, when we cross multiply them, we get 3 plus x equals 2. Subtracting 3, so x must be equal to negative 1. How about here, when we cross multiply them, negative 4 plus y equals 2. Then when we add 4 to both sides, y must be equal to then 6. So 1 comma 6 must be the point B value. Or I mean negative 1 comma 6, which is choice 1. Alright, let's move on to number 10. What is the slope of the line that's perpendicular? You see, let us underline the word perpendicular. That basically means slopes has to be negative of the original one, and not only that, we have to get reciprocal. Alright, so then since the slope is equal to 4, what's my negative reciprocal of that? So since this is positive, then our answer has to be negative, and then reciprocal of 4 becomes 1 over 4. So negative 1/4 becomes our solution, choice 1. Number 11. Now AB is, you see, as soon as you realize the parallel, that means we get to realize the same slope. Now, then what is the slope for AB? Let's try to figure that out first. Slope for AB is y2 minus y1, which is 3 minus 3 over negative 4 minus 2. Then here we get 3 minus 3 becomes 0. So 0 over negative 6. We know that this one to be equal to 0. But line segment CD has to have the same slope. So that means slope of CD can be k minus negative 1 over 1 minus 5. In other words, k plus 1 over negative 4 has to be equal to 0. And you know that this is only possible if k plus 1 is equal to 0, because fraction, numerator is when numerator is equal to 0, then the function of fraction is equal to 0. So here we get to realize that k must be equal to negative 1. So what is the value of k? Choice 4 becomes our answer. Alright, number 12. How do you find the midpoint? As I mentioned earlier, we have to get negative 4 plus negative 8 divided by 2. That's the x value. Y value should be 6 plus negative 2 divided by 2. Now, then the first one becomes, this one implies the negative 12 over 2 is the first value. Second one is what? 4 over 2. And then this one is basically means negative 6 comma 2 is our final answer. Okay, negative 6 comma 2. Okay, choice 4. Yes, I couldn't see that before somehow. Alright, let's look at the next question, number 13. Finding the distance. So we're looking at distance formula here. Distance is equal to x2, which is 5, minus x1, negative 2, entire thing squared, plus 7 minus 3 square. Here we get 7 square and plus 4 square, which now equal to 49 plus 16, and we know that to be square root of 65, and we have that exact value, choice 4. Number 14. Slope of the line that's perpendicular. Then we are looking for something that's negative reciprocal of 3. Since 3 is positive, then I have to get something negative. Reciprocal of 3 would have been 1/3, so negative 1/3 is our answer. Rather simple, choice 4. Number 15. What is the midpoint? Then we just have to get the average. So 1 plus 6, those are the x values, divided by 2. and then y values are 2 plus 7 divided by 2. That becomes our midpoint. Then here we get 7 over 2, comma, on the y value becomes 9 over 2. So 7 over 2, comma, 9 over 2, which is choice 4, seems to be our answer. Alright, let's look at number 16. What is the radius of the circle? Now, whose center is at the origin? Now, that means, imagine I have a circle like this way, and what if this point happened to be 5, 12 as an example? That means that becomes my radius. In other words, we have to get the distance formula. So here distance is equal to here 12 minus, or let me just go for the x first. It doesn't really matter, but in this case, since we've been doing it that way, 5 minus 0 squared. Where did I get 0 from? Because it has passed through the origin. Plus here 12 minus 0 squared. Then here we get square root of 169 if you have to calculate, which is equal to 13. So therefore 13 should be the radius here. Alright, let's look at number 17 here. Slope is equal to 2, that means y equals 2x plus b. And then we're going to plug in the 0, negative 1, so negative 1 is equal to 2 times 0 plus b. Then here we get b to be equal to negative 1. So our final answer is y equals 2x minus 1. Something like this one would have been okay. Choice 1. Alright, let's look at the perpendicular line. Since it's positive, we have to get something negative, which is choice 1 or 3. Reciprocal of 2, that means 1/2. So we get choice 3 becomes the answer. Number 19. What is the y-intercept? Now, easiest thing which you can do is if you have to divide by 3, then this becomes, meaning divide each term by 3, then y equals 2x plus 4. So what is y-intercept? That will be this value, so 4 becomes the answer. Alright, let's look at number 20. The endpoints of the diameter of the circles are this one. The finding the coordinates of the center is basically finding the midpoint. So we're going to go for 5 plus negative 3 over 2, and then 2 plus 4 over 2. Then the first one is simply 1, second one becomes 3. 1, 3 becomes the answer. Choice 1 becomes the answer, therefore. Alright, so we'll stop here at the part 1, and we'll continue soon with part 2. Bye-bye.